Today, I'm doing something a bit different. I want to invite you to enjoy a cup of tea or coffee with me, and let's chat about something a bit more personal. Recently, someone left me a message saying, well, you clearly ran out of money, and that's why you're preaching minimalism. To be honest, I can actually understand that sentiment. After all, I started this channel with unboxing some really expensive things. Sometimes even I myself can't believe the contrast. That said, I guess it's not surprising to see this kind of conclusion in the society we live in today. I used to go through life with that exact mindset. If you don't show it, you simply don't have it. Any disposable income should contribute towards having nice things, and in this case, designer shopping or luxury handbags. I grew up in a fairly humble background. While we lacked material abundance, I had a loving and very active childhood. Growing up with two older sisters means I was always wearing hand-me-downs. The only time we went shopping was for Chinese New Year. In our culture, we believe wearing new clothes on New Year's Day is a way to welcome good luck and prosperity. My second sister is only 2 years older than me, so we used to share everything. I wish I could tell you it was always a loving relationship. The truth is, we had plenty of arguments over the things we shared. Imagine not talking to your sister because of a hand-me-down t-shirt given by your neighbor. The weather in Malaysia, where I was born and bred, is always hot and humid, so our go-to outfits were usually t-shirts and shorts. Between the two of us, we had just 2 boxes of clothes, and that was our entire wardrobe for a good part of our teenage years. The boxes were about the size of my current IKEA PAX drawers, a very limited selection for sure, but it was enough for us, even though we sometimes fought about who should wear what. I only started having my own closet when I moved away to a boarding school, and it just wasn't an option anymore to share with my sister. Back then, minimalism wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. So I've never tried to downplay the difference between wanting to have less and needing to have less. As a child, I often told myself, I need to work hard because I want to have nice things. I don't think my childhood was the only reason for my materialistic desire. I believe personality played a huge part as well. My dear sister, for example, has never bought into the appeal of designer shopping. For a number of years after graduation, I felt validated because of the nice things I owned. I know this might sound shallow or superficial, but I really did feel like I had finally made it. I was that girl from a small town with very little, but now I can buy nice things and shiny jewelry. Plus, I no longer had to share it with anyone. These things were mine and mine only. I consider myself really fortunate to have come across minimalism and the concept of financial freedom when my professional career was starting to take off, because otherwise I might own a much bigger handbag collection right now, but I might also be secretly worrying about my financial future. Walking down the other path has truly been a blessing. The things I own now might not be as exciting or shiny, but for me, having financial security is the best kind of luxury. Sometimes when my husband and I reminisce about the past, we still can't believe how much our lives, priorities, and perspectives have changed in the last 5 years. Sometimes it's easy to associate minimalism with deprivation or spending as little as possible, but for me, it's about spending wisely and paying for things or services that can make our lives better and easier. On that note, I want to thank our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one website builder, and I was a paying customer from day one. Years ago, I had to spend a fortune to hire a website developer to put together my blog. After some research, I decided to move to Squarespace last year, and it's been such a game changer because it's so much easier to use. Here you will find the books I recommend, the items in my small wardrobe, and my art illustrations. I also embedded my social media here, just so my viewers can reach out easily. Whether if you are a lawyer, an artist, or a personal trainer, it's never been easier to have your very own website to showcase your work, connect with your community, or even have an online store. Go to Squarespace for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/colourfulnoir to save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain. When you first decide to embrace mindful spending, it can be a bit tricky to gauge what exactly is worth paying for. One thing I always ask myself now before spending is, how many hours do I have to work to pay for the purchase? One book I would really recommend is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robbins. She talks about how our life energy is limited and how to best utilize our resources. Buying a handbag, for example, might mean you have to work 3 weeks for it. When you see things this way, that handbag you see on Instagram is no longer just the most trendy bag. It represents 3 weeks of your life. Is it worth it? Well, only you can answer that question. You might decide to buy it anyway, but at least you know you're making a conscious decision. And if you don't make the purchase, it doesn't make you less of a person either. I know for me, asking this one question has changed the way I consume. Whether if it's a pair of designer shoes, a takeaway coffee, another candle for my house, and so on. I think it's a common knowledge that our society places more focus on material and very tangible things, and I believe it has conditioned us to spend in a certain way. If you drive a very fancy car, for example, everyone can see it, but not as many people would be interested in the books you've read, the classes you've taken, and your future plan. For me, it has been quite a learning curve to spend on what I personally truly value, rather than always trying to measure up to society's definition of success. While minimalism might seem like a privileged concept, and it is, I believe it's much needed in the world we live in right now. When I was a child, my parents paid cash for everything. And if they didn't have the cash, we simply didn't make the purchase. Buying on credit was never a thing, but now we have all kinds of payment options to help us spend the money we don't have, such as interest-free finance for 12 months, buy now pay later, payday loans, and so on. Many of us don't need the latest iPhone, but the payment plan makes the purchase seem so much more affordable. We then think we're making sensible decisions to ditch the iPhone we're currently using, even though it's still working perfectly fine, and we also don't need the better camera or the shiny features that come with the latest version. And this goes the same with our furniture, laptops, cars, and houses. There are plenty of tips out there to help us shop less, have a successful low-buy year, or be a minimalist. But I believe nothing works better than actually identifying your why. Why do you want to spend more wisely? Why have priorities? Why be a minimalist? A while ago, I decided, while it's nice to own nice things, I value my freedom so much more. I used to have a much bigger luxury collection, but I had very little time to enjoy them. In fact, I had no time for myself because I was constantly working. So I decided to reframe my priorities. My long-term goal is to have financial security, own the flexibility of my time, and live life on my own terms. I believe when you have a clear goal in mind, everything becomes easier. After all, you can't really navigate without a destination. So in a way, the comment I mentioned at the beginning of the video is right in a way. My priorities are different now. I used to buy anything I like. The bottom line was to not get myself into debt. But now I prioritize investing for the future, so I do allocate less for discretionary expenses. My perspectives about money have changed over the years, and I feel like I've always been very open about this. But I just want to encourage people who are interested in minimalism that when you decide to move on to a different stage in life, there might be some criticism and judgment, but it's okay. Just do what feels right for you because no one else will live your life for you. As someone who came from having very little in terms of material things to now where I can afford a bit more, minimalism is a tool for me to enjoy nice things responsibly. It certainly gave me a reality check that I didn't think I needed. You could say I was shopping in a way to compensate for what I thought was missing when I was younger. Do I have any regrets? Maybe, but I can't really change the past, so I might as well focus on the now and the future. I feel incredibly grateful for everything I have. Whether if you're interested in becoming a minimalist or not, having more gratitude in life is always a good idea. Thank you for sharing this coffee time with me. Take care and I will see you soon.